Boop.
Oh man.
Hello and welcome back to Post Production Podcast.
Hey.
I'm here with my co-host Adam.
How you doing?
Great. I'm Mr. Drew, and we are starting our episode 3.
Yeah, number 3.
Number 3. Hopefully we got some of these microphone things worked out. This thing looks like it's pinging like crazy, but I think it's going to be good, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. We're going to talk a little briefly. We had a little hot wing challenge that we did with some friends from work. We're going to talk about Rick and Morty in our introduction into that fantastic series. The hype is real. We finally got the title of the movie of the Han Solo, called Solo, A Star Wars Story. We'll talk about that a little bit. The new Punisher trailer came out. It was delayed because of the Las Vegas shooting that we had talked about a little bit a couple weeks ago. And then Adam has seen the original Dune movie, and we're going to talk to him about his reaction and thoughts on that 30-year-old masterpiece. All right, so right off the bat, we have a local eatery here in Las Vegas called Wing King. They do some phenomenal food there, and they have a hell sauce that is just supposed to be redonkulous hot.
Yeah, it's the hottest wing in Las Vegas, apparently.
Yeah.
And we decided, let's try it.
Why not, you know?
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
But, you know, we did it smart. We brought some friends along to share in our agony and pain. And I think agony and pain is exactly what we got into.
I think it may be an understatement at this point.
Yeah.
Have you ever tasted anything that hot?
No, never. I mean, I've had some hot stuff, but the hell sauce from that place was true to its name. Absolute hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what? And we talked about this a little bit, but the heat wasn't the worst part.
No.
It was the following hours. I've never felt that kind of pain ever. Yeah, I never want to do that again, ever.
I'm gonna put together the video. We'll post it up so some of you can see what we did. But basically, we had some friends there. They have their own challenge where it's 12 hell sauce wings that you have to eat in 20 minutes with a whole bunch of rules. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to kind of explore some of the flavors, so we went up on some of those flavors, and some of them were fantastic.
Yeah, all of them. I love them.
I think the sweet chili sriracha hot sauce was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to go back there and get some more of that.
Yeah, but that hell sauce was like made purely to just make you hate yourself. Like, I don't know what the point of that was other than just being ridiculous.
Be ridiculously,
yeah.
You know, talking to the chef and talking to the owners, you know, you have to sign a waiver. You have to wear gloves. And they dissuade you left, right, and sideways. You don't want to do this. They tell you, you don't want to do this. It's not fun. It's
There's nothing.
Yeah, you're putting yourself through misery. And even when you ask the chef, he's like, have you even tasted it? He's like, no, I have common sense. Like, that's his answer, which is fantastic. But it was a fun experience up until the hell sauce, and then the 30 hours, I think, after that was just absolute agony.
And again, we only had one. Like, I can't imagine 12.
Yeah. We had one wing, and it was worst decision ever.
It was hell.
But we'll link that up soon. You guys can enjoy some of that, laugh at us. You're going to see some grown men cry. You're going to see some people lose their chucks, and it should be fun. We'll put that together. So, flowing right in, we started... I just finished Rick and Morty, all the seasons completely. You're pretty much almost through the first season.
Yeah, I got to catch up. But...
And the hype is real. I love it. Love the show.
Yeah, we've been hearing, from everyone how good it is all over the internet, and then some friends. I'm only, 10 episodes in, but I'm surprised you finished it all in like 2 days or whatever it was. But yeah, I love it. No, it's a great show. What do you think?
Well, when you're bent over in agony trying to keep your ass from catching fire because you ate a hot wing, I couldn't sleep. So I was like, I'll just binge some Rick and Morty.
Perfect.
I love that it is so completely adult.
Yeah.
The swearing, the just
the
the
themes.
theme, all the innuendos, all of everything that it uses is like, this is specifically for adults, and it's so enjoyable.
I love that they just explore anything. They go places where you don't think they'd go, different realities and different
Dimensions.
dimensions.
But you know what? It's not political. It has nothing to do with anything current.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, let's think of the most effed up thing we can possibly do. Turn it sideways, flip it over, cook it, get some grill marks on it, and serve it up raw anyways.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the show is, and it's absolutely enjoyable.
I mean, my first impressions of it, I love it. I can't wait to watch more. What do you think? Where do you think it could go from where you left off?
Well, season 1 and 2 were fantastic. The end of season 2 leads you into season 3. Some things happen in season 3, and then it kind of comes full circle at the end.
Okay.
So, there was a little bit of a story arc there. I think now, after season 3, and I'm, there's not going to be any spoilers here. After season 3 ends and they go on to season 4, it's just going to be like season 1. It's just going to be open-ended chaos and fun, and just let's see how crazy we can make this. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm 10 episodes in. I don't feel like there's any real story arc. And, as far as I can tell.
I think it creeps in season 2. You start to kind of see where they go with the dynamic of the family.
Because I feel like you could kind of just enter any of these episodes that I'm currently watching and just kind of, I feel like they're all kind of the same. You don't need any real backstory. I think you kind of can get it from just one episode, but I think that might change.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, you can do that. I mean, the story arc isn't so profound that you watch an episode, you're like, oh, wait, I'm lost.
Yeah.
I mean, the story arc is so minute in the episodes that you have that ability to just pop in and out of any one that you want to and enjoy that, which I like that dynamic of it. But there is a little bit of a story arc in 2 that leads into 3, and then it comes full circle at the end. But I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's so fun.
Nice.
It's so good. I have 2 things to say. Pickle Rick. And you'll come across it soon,
Yeah.
but Pickle Rick absolutely dominates.
Okay.
So we got a tweet about the new Solo movie. We've been, they've been talking about it for a while. They're going to do this prequel with Han Solo and a little bit of his backstory, his origin story per se. And then someone gave us the actual title.
Yeah, so Ron Howard tweeted out this video, basically saying that they had wrapped shooting, and with that announced the title of the movie, which was Solo, a Star Wars story. Drew, how do you feel?
I don't know, man. I was hoping for something. I mean, yeah, it's simple. It makes sense. It's Han Solo, a Star Wars story. I get it.
Like, it makes sense, and it's straightforward. Like you said, you were kind of expecting something else. What would you rather it be called?
I couldn't say, but just looking at it, like when I look at it, it looks like a Lego box.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
could
so
get that.
simplified, and I'm waiting for the Lego Solo movie to kind of follow, and I don't know, it just didn't click with me. I'm sure that it's going to be fantastic, and everything about it's going to be really good, but I don't know, my initial impression, I was like, okay.
Yeah, see, I thought it was so hilarious that, we're so far into production that, Ron Howard he would put out these, like, Instagram posts, and he would hashtag, like, untitled Han Solo movie. And I'm just like, well, what could you really call it besides Han Solo? What kind of weird, abstract title can you come up with? Like, why won't you just say it? Like, I don't understand why they had to kind of wait for this Because I feel like it's kind of underwhelming too. Like
Yeah,
it was either named Han Solo or Solo.
yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like, eh. I mean, it could have been Han, before the walking carpet. I mean, it could have been anything else, before I met Chewie. I don't know.
They could have gone that way, but I think they needed to stick with Han Solo like in the title, or else you would just. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't even know that this is coming out. I think it's just a lot of Star Wars fans and movie fans that know about this. But
Well, it's been a little under the radar, I
Yeah.
think. But I mean, this is a prequel to Han Solo. This is a prequel. This is, I'm assuming, I'm assuming that we're going to get a big background on his smuggling history. So, I think of Star Wars, I think of smugglers. It's gritty, it's dirty, it's grungy. There's no good and bad. It's just all out chaotic smugglers. They do for themselves. They think of themselves and only of themselves. So to see Solo, a Star Wars story, it kind of lightens it up and puts more of a lighter touch to it. And I'm just like, okay, if this is Han Solo and this is a smuggler story per se, then I was kind of expecting something a little bit more with some bite, some grit to it.
Yeah, but I think they always intended this to be a more fun movie because they had, they had the two directors that they fired that, they directed 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, the Lego movie, which, that's a reference. But, it was always supposed to be like a fun kind of movie. And then they got Ron Howard on, and I think it still is a fun movie, and I think that's what they're trying to do. But yeah, I don't think we're going to get that gritty kind of feel.
I guess that would be okay. I hope not. I mean,
I feel like it's kind of set, though.
Rogue One was a great side movie, and it was dark, and it was a little grungy, and there was a lot of... It wasn't a happy ending,
Yeah, no.
And I loved it. I loved the way it ended.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I we talked about it, and I nitpicked through a bunch of things that I thought were a little bit quirky, but, as a movie, it wasn't this happy story, happily ever after kind of thing. And that's, it was the story of how they got the plans, and you knew from A New Hope that many people died getting us these plans,
But I mean, I think because we don't really know what this movie is really about, they can go anywhere. And so I think because we already got that gritty movie with Rogue One, we can get a little fun with this one. Yeah. So I think that's where they're going with it.
So now I'm hoping that we're going to get into and see his initial, I don't know, introduction is the wrong word, because he got the Millennium Falcon from Lando.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see that.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
So I'm interested to see what ship he has before.
I don't even think he would have a ship. I mean, he seems like someone who just, I think he steals or wins everything. I feel like before the Millennium Falcon, I feel like he just had nothing. And also, we're probably going to see how he met Chewie, too. So we're going to see him when he's, just nothing, when he's a nobody.
Now, if he had a ship before the Millennium Falcon, what do you think he named it?
Oh, man.
The Century Sparrow. I mean, playing on words.
I don't know. But you know what? I'm going to stick with that he just didn't have one. I feel like this was his first ship, and that's why it's so special to him.
Okay. So looking forward to that. Solo, a Star Wars story.
Solo.
How I Met Chewie.
How I Met Chewie.
How I Met Chewie. How I Met Your Mother, Chewie. Sorry. All right. So we also got, originally, the new Punisher trailer was supposed to come out the week of the shooting that we had here in Las Vegas. And I think Netflix they made a great decision by kind of holding off on that trailer, given the content and given kind of, what the Punisher is all about. So that recently came out, and it looks exciting. I'm Team Punisher.
Yeah, I'm on board for this one. Yeah, I literally just watched the new trailer and it looks great. And I think, we've had a pretty rough run with these last few Netflix series with Iron Fist, well, Defenders, and even Luke Cage, like the back end of Luke Cage. I was not really a fan of, but I think we're getting back to form here, and I think we're gonna get something really good. So I'm excited, and it's coming out November 17th. We now have a release date, which we didn't before, which interestingly enough is the same release date as Justice League. So let me ask you this question.
What am I going to do that weekend?
Yes.
I'll do both.
Well, what are you going to do first? Because, I mean, we're both going to do both. But what are you going to do first?
Well, I imagine that we'll probably go to an early showing of Justice League.
Yeah.
So we'll probably actually end up hitting that first and then binging Punisher over the weekend.
Yeah.
I think that would be the whole kind of thing.
I mean, I like binging.
We'll start with the horrible and end with the good. That's how I see it. Well, because I don't think Justice League is going to be so great.
And right now, I mean, it's the 24th of October. We're less than a month away, and we still don't have tickets. Like, we still can't buy tickets to Justice League.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, like, what is that saying? Because I already bought my tickets to freaking Star Wars.
Yeah, ditto.
So why don't we have tickets for Justice League? And I feel like that's kind of a sign. I don't know if it is, but I feel like if they were really excited about what they have and what they're about to release, they'd be like, hey, everyone, get your tickets now. They already released
all the venues
trailer.
should be set, all the times should be set, everything should be available, but still we're kind of in the dark.
Yeah, hopefully it's good. I'm gonna stay optimistic, but we'll see.
I'm gonna enjoy the movie. It looks like it's gonna be fun to watch. Whether or not it's a really great movie, as long as it's entertaining, I'll be happy with that.
And I think it will be. I think it'll keep that promise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Aquaman.
Yeah,
because he looks like he's gonna have a whole bunch of fun, and I think that's gonna give us a great kind of insight into what we can expect from the actual Aquaman movie, which is coming out in 2018, I think in December.
Yeah, and actually, I guess we just got news that also wrapped production. So Aquaman is done shooting. They're in post-production right now. And so, yeah, we can expect that next year, December 2018. And hopefully we get a trailer soon. And it's still more than a year out, but I'm excited to see, a trailer for that. So maybe a post-credit scene in Justice League or something like that. But
a little, give us a taste.
Yeah.
Just give us a little schmacker.
Because I think that's the next DC thing after Justice League, right?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, because I haven't seen anything for another Wonder Woman. I don't think they're going to do a solo Batman movie. I'm not sure. But it seems like all of Ben Affleck's...
They are.
Oh, okay.
They definitely are. The director of Planet of the Apes, what's his name again?
He who shall be named later.
Oh yeah, Matt Reeves. So Matt Reeves, he did Dawn and he did War for the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
So he's directing the solo Batman movie, and there's so much drama and there's so much ambiguity around that movie. Like, we don't really know what's going on with it. Ben Affleck, we don't know if he's staying on or if he's gonna do that and then he's done as Batman. He seems kind of done. If you see his interviews and if you see...
He just doesn't look very enthused to play the role.
Yeah, and, he was originally going to direct it, but then he decided to back off because directing and starring in a superhero movie is ridiculous. And he was writing it,
rough.
too.
Yeah.
So they scrapped his script. They brought in a new director. So I think, hopefully he stays on, but I feel like that's going to be the last one that he's doing.
But I mean, as an actor, what's the point then? Like, why did you even get into it? If you know you're gonna have to do 3 or 4 or 5 movies, or else what's the point?
I feel like he kind of didn't know what he was getting into because I feel like the DC universe and Warner Brothers, they didn't really have a plan, so they were just kind of going with it. BVS didn't do very well, wasn't well received. So after that, I don't think anyone was really expecting that, especially Ben Affleck. So I think he has lost his enthusiasm, and I think that solo Batman movie, if we even ever get it, I think that's his last.
That's his last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that comes around.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least we'll have some stuff coming up. I mean, at the end of this coming weekend, we've got Stranger Things coming out. That's gonna be a nice binge weekend.
Oh yeah.
After that, we've got Justice League. We've got
we got Thor before
Thor.
that.
Yeah, Thor before that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And then we got Justice League, Punisher. Oh yeah, we're gonna be busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you finally got to see.
So a little bit of why this happened. So we recently watched Blade Runner, which
2049.
2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve. We're a big fan of his work, of course, and like all really talented artists and filmmakers, we wonder what they're gonna do next. And so he has signed on to do a remake of Dune. And if you asked me what Dune was before, last week, I would not know. I wouldn't know what to tell you. I had zero information on it. So, okay, Denis Villeneuve is doing this thing called Dune. Okay, cool, whatever. But, apparently it's this huge, sci-fi movie that a lot of people love, including Drew.
Oh, I was giddy as a schoolgirl. I was just so happy.
Yeah.
Big time fan. I mean, I grew up with this movie.
Yeah. And
if
you guys didn't know, I mean, I'm a lot younger than Drew.
Yeah, I was 10 when it came out.
I was a negative 10. By the way.
This was another one of those movies that in that time frame, the mid 80s, these epic movies came out. It didn't do very well. It was like Blade Runner. It was a love or hate kind of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
The book is so complex and so full of detail and story. I think they had a tough job trying to squeeze that into a format of a single movie.
Mm-hmm.
When me watching it as a kid, you don't pick up on all those nuances about story. I was just fascinated with what I saw as far as like the special effects and these different worlds and these sandworms and just all this great stuff. And I was just enamored by everything that I saw. And, it's just one of those things that for me, it's a nostalgia.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back and watch it. You watched it recently. I rewatched it. And, and even sitting there, I had half of me going, this is fantastic. I love it. Oh my God, I'm 10 years old again. And then I had the other half of me going, wow, this movie was really, really, really put together badly. Like, there's so many things wrong with how this movie is put together. But I really, really love it. I really, really love it because I'm a 10-year-old again,
Yeah. And, it's that sense of nostalgia, like you said, that really takes you back and it keeps that special place in your heart. But for me, I have no emotional attachment to this movie. So I'm watching it and I'm really trying. Like, I'm really trying to like it. Like, I understood the basic story, but like you said, it's choppy. It's very choppy. The way that it's...
But I'm trying, Drew. I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
I'm trying real hard. Yeah, just a few things about this movie. When the original Star Wars came out, that was weird, but it wasn't so far off that it was uncomprehendable. Like, but this movie, I feel like to a lot of people, you're just kind of looking at it like, what?
What am I watching? Where is this going?
It's really weird.
Yeah.
It's really weird, and starting off, you kind of get this introduction, and I kind of would compare it to like the Star Wars crawl, but it's in spoken word.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched that, and I'm like, okay, interesting, whatever. Let's get into it. I need to go back to the effects. The effects.
No, this is 30 years ago. So.
And let's just let's let's talk about, because we also recently saw the original Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, yeah.
And we were talking about how, that movie holds up super well. It's comparable to 2049. You can kind of see the same universe in both.
Yeah,
movies.
you can flow one right into the other.
Yeah.
And not feel like, yeah, I'm watching a 30-year gap.
Yeah. No, you know that you're watching a 30-year-old movie when you're watching Dune. The effects, I think the acting, the pacing, everything is very dated. Like, everything. Even the costume design, like, I feel like the production design and the costume design, there wasn't really much to it. I feel like it wasn't very special.
Lots of black
there wasn't this
tubing
like,
and...
There wasn't this, like, cool aesthetic in, like, a Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, whoa, I want to see more of this. This is some style that I've never seen before. It was a bunch of, like, royalty that just... It looked like royalty, but maybe they were in space. Like, you didn't really get that this was on another world, I feel like. I love this one scene because there's in these kind of like royal
uniforms.
Army, uniforms. Yeah. And then like they just like press a button and then this like weird like force field thing comes around them. That's like the most terrible effect I've ever seen.
It turns them into Minecraft.
It turns them into Minecraft. And also it protects them, but then also if you
go slow enough.
Penetrate
if you go slow enough, yeah, it'll go in. So what's the point?
Like, and then in one of the scenes, where one of the main character's friends, Duncan,
right?
So he dies. He dies because someone shoots him when he's wearing that thing, and the bullet like slows down. Like, that's probably my favorite scene because it's so ridiculous. It slows down enough to penetrate the shield. It kills him, but like his reaction and the editing is so like choppy that it was laughable to me. And I hate to do this to you, but I wanted to laugh throughout this whole thing. The Baron floating around like a freaking helium balloon with pimples on it.
His pustules. His pulsing, pussing pustules just popping and pussing everywhere.
Yeah, and how do you make a gross character grosser? You put all these nasty pimples. He's all sweaty and greasy. I don't get it. I was just looking at him like, why? And then you have Sting's character, which I don't even know why he was there either.
It really didn't have any purpose. He could have been there, he could have not been there. It wouldn't have made any difference.
And what's funny is
there's a knife fight at the end, which is, again, whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of things in this movie where they kind of present this information like right before it happens. So like, you have the main character, what's his name? Oh, I don't even know.
Oh, well, I mean, the main character is Paul, played by Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah.
Paul
and it
Atreides.
was fun seeing him as a young kid because I only know him, in his recent works. So it was fun kind of seeing him, back in the 80s with his long, gorgeous hair. But I feel like this movie kind of evolves in different ways throughout the movie. Like, the beginning of this movie is not the same movie as the end of this movie. I feel like I was watching like 18 different movies. Like, every scene was a different movie. It felt like an anthology series. Like, I couldn't really connect anything. But besides the nostalgic factor, what are some things that you really like about this movie?
Going back and watching it again, for me, it's hard for me to dissect the fact that this is something I grew up with. I saw it as a kid. Mm-hmm. It was one of those amazing sci-fi movies that really didn't make any sense to me. I just thought it was great looking, and then when you go back and you watch it as an adult and you try to really kind of pick up on what they're trying to explain or the story that they're trying to tell, I do like the interesting fact that, if whether this is set in the future or the past, but you basically have, all these different planets. You have the space guild that controls travel because they're able to fold space, which is, one of those concepts that is, a little bit more advanced than something that was, available at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was either hyperspace or it was like rockets and whatever. And now we have this concept of, we can travel without moving. We're just going to fold space. But at the same time, you still have these houses. You have these royal houses, these factions that almost kind of makes you think of like ancient feudal Japan, where you had these major houses and they're all pitted against each other, and there's all this intrigue. There's this political strife, and you have, the emperor siding with this one house because this other house is getting too popular and he wants to eliminate and keep the seat. So you have a little bit of this intrigue, but you still have this ancient kind of concept of houses and these feuds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
at the same time, it all boils down to this one desolate planet, that has to do with the spice that controls travel.
Oh, yeah, the spice.
And you really kind of don't get why the spice does what it does. I think,
It just does.
Well, I think they sort of very barely touch upon the fact that the spice transforms your consciousness to a higher level. And then at that higher level, it expands the mind. And that's what those floating weird bubble dudes that control the space travel are able to do, is they can use their mind to fold space and move people in these giant tubes that look like batons passed in a relay race. But anyways, I like the fact that you had this desert planet and you had this indigenous people that are waiting for this Messiah, and there's this prophecy and there's all this intrigue. And then you have the character that kind of like transcends to this higher plane. It's a little bit fantasy. It's a little bit sci-fi. It's a little bit ancient concept, and it's a lot of new concept. And it's all mishmashed in this horrible array of cutscenes, basically.
Yeah.
Which, watching it now, you're going, oh my God, this is painful. This is so painful.
Yeah.
I sort of get it, but I just can't relate to it.
And I wanted it to just speed through and give me something, give me some action, give me some, something that I can really hold on to, but there was really nothing. For me, I felt like it was just super boring. You have him in the beginning, you kind of get introduced to his father, and, he's like the only son, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the father dies. There's this weird thing with the tooth where he was trying to bite someone and kill them. I couldn't tell you any more than that. I was so confused. And I literally wrote down the tooth because I just wanted to address how weird that was. That was a weird plan.
Well, the traitor, anybody listen to this is going to be spoilers, so I'm not even going to worry about whether your sensibilities get whatever.
Well, that was the thing.
So you had the doctor that was the traitor. So he got broken because of his wife or something like that, even though he knew, and that's what didn't make any sense. He knew in the back of his mind that his wife was already dead, but they broke him to be a traitor, even though he had an imperial seal that meant that he was never going to be broken and he was trustworthy, but he ended up being the traitor.
And yeah, see, those are the things that like you didn't really need. Like, you could cut out the whole thing. Because I think if there's one thing that I liked over everything else, it was the prophecy, and it was Paul, getting to know the natives, the Fremen, and leading this uprising. I like that.
Yeah.
But all that other stuff before, I think you could have taken that out and it would have flowed a lot better.
Well, I mean, it played into the political intrigue and all, and how is this one house gonna, corrupt the other house and take over. I get it. It was poorly done because, at the end of it, it was like, I know that the Baron's going to come and float over you and gloat because that's what he likes to do. So here's this tooth. You're going to die anyways. Like, you're dead, bro.
Yeah.
You're just a meat bag. So you might as well be a useful meat bag. So I'm going to pull this tooth out and I'm going to stick another one in. And when he gets close to you, bite it and cough on him, I get it,
You'll die, but
you'll
so
die,
will he.
but so will he. You'll just have the Grinch breath.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever, but didn't really play out that way. I thought the interesting thing, playing into the prophecy part. So you had the Bene Gesserit sisters, that is this sort of religious cult that we don't really kind of get an explanation as to what and why they do things, but
Those are the bald ones, right?
those are the chicks that are bald. So
who can kind of read minds.
they can read minds and they can control people with their voice.
Yeah.
They take this water of life, which is the unborn juice from a worm on Dune or something, and then it takes them to a higher level of learning, and then they get that whole they can dream and they can prophesize, but
Wait, was that the life water?
that was the life water, yeah,
Okay.
the blue water.
See, when that kind of came into play, I didn't really know where that was from. Was that from the Dune planet?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah, because the life water comes from the worms, from the baby worms. They just speed right by it. They just zip right through it.
So what's the difference between the life water and like the spice? Because they both expand the mind, right?
I think the spice is the raw form, and you have this water of life, which is like the amniotic fluid from a baby worm. So you have these worms that live on Dune, right?
Oh god.
And all they do is swim around in the spice. And then when they have a baby, if the spice sustains them, I'm like going way out on a limb here.
Look, you should see my face right now. 'Cause
I'm trying to think my way through it. I'm helping you, dude.
Aren't we
I'm
all?
helping you.
Aren't we all?
I'm trying, Ringo. I'm trying real hard to understand the spice. So I'm just kind of thinking through here. So if these worms are they're crawling around on Dune, all they do is swim around in spice all day. They have a baby worm. That amniotic fluid is probably the most concentrated spice juice. We'll call it spice juice.
Yeah.
Right? And then you take that and you give it to those bald-headed witch chicks, and they drink it, and then it just kind of like takes them to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Now, previously, any male that had tried to do that dies in agony, because I think they don't have the training, they don't have the know-how to kind of like overcome that sort of transformation.
Uh-huh.
Where Paul is the exception, because his mother, being a Bene Gesserit witch, went against the precepts of her order and gave Duke Atreides, Paul's father, a son, which is Paul, because she was only supposed to bear females, daughters. But they were so in love, and he was like, I want a son, and she's like, okay. So she bears the son, and then she teaches Paul the ways of the Bene Gesserit.
Did she know that she was going to have a son?
I don't think she knew. I think she just was so in love with the Duke that she was like, I'll give you a son, and maybe they can control whatever kind of baby they have.
Yeah,
whatever.
See, that was the thing that I was like...
It's very glossy. It's a very glossy kind of thing.
It's like, wait, you're not supposed to have sons. You can't have sons, but then you just had a son. Okay. But I think all in all, like I will never watch this movie again. Like let's be clear. Like you said, it takes a few times to kind of really get.
Yeah.
I'm okay with not getting it.
It's so choppy, it's hard to watch and kind of pick up on all the different things. You know?
Like I think kind of going into this new one, this remake that Denis Villeneuve is going to do, I think he's going to put this into a story that people can follow and people will actually like.
I can't wait. Just some of the premises from the original movie and from the book, if he just does his magic,
yeah,
I think it's going to be an absolutely incredible movie.
Yeah, because I didn't like this movie, but I think I can see a lot of things that when I think of Denis Villeneuve, I know that he's going to do this well.
Mm-hmm. There's so much potential there. Yeah,
like the set design and the production design of the original, like it's like any other 80s movie. There's not a lot to it. They do their best with what they have. But when you see like the grand kind of, the scapes of Blade Runner and like Arrival and Sicario and all of his movies, I mean, you can just imagine how amazing like the royal, their kingdom and all of the different locations. I think it's going to be something really awe-inspiring.
I think it's going to be submersive.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wish we could just plug, when this movie comes out, I wish I could just plug it directly into my brain.
Yeah.
And just like do a whole
Just a
VR Johnny Mnemonic,
Yeah.
you know, just dive in there, kind of Matrix plunge,
Yeah.
take the red pill.
Yeah. And yeah, so I can't wait to see who the cinematographer is going to be. I can't wait to see who the cast is going to be. Because there are a lot of roles in this movie that can go to a lot of talented people.
Yeah.
And Denis Villeneuve also, he gets some really great known actors, but he's able to work with a lot of these unknown actors and really make them, you know, up to par with everyone else.
Now, do you think it would be fun if he used Kyle MacLachlan in this movie as his father, as the Duke?
That I think that would be fun.
That would be cool. I mean, he could pull it off. He's the right age. It would work perfectly. But I think that would be a neat kind of...
Yeah, that's something that they,
you know what I mean?
They can do. Yeah, yeah.
You know, just as they used, you know, Harrison Ford in the new Blade Runner.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, man, we can bring this guy back and he can be the Duke. It would be cool.
And if not, he's going to be someone. He's going to be, you know,
he'll pop his head in there. So now, here's a question for you. Do you think that in the new Dune, he's going to use the same narration as the original Dune? So there's a lot of like thought talk. I guess it would be the right term.
There's a lot of
you would hear their thoughts, but they're talking out loud. But it's their thoughts that you're hearing.
Yeah, and I had mentioned this to you a little bit before. I hated that because in a book like that works because you're reading it from the main character's perspective. In a movie, though, you know, you're following them, but they're not saying literally everything that is happening. And I feel like that's what he was doing. Whenever there was a big thing that happened, he was like, the worm is the spice.
The spice is the worm.
And I'm going like... And then there's this other line that I love, which is, the dream unfolds. And I'm just kind of... I'm there and I'm sitting like...
What dream? Where?
Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't understand. And there's so much of that kind of insider talk, that inside voice, and you're hearing it and you're kind of going, why are you saying these things while they're happening? Why can't you present this information like in any other way? Because it's uninteresting, it's boring, it's like anticlimactic. I feel like it's not really leaving that kind of effect that it would if you were to see something, or if you were to, like, if something were to happen. If you're just saying, you know, this thing, it's like, okay, and people can miss that too, and I think that's a fault of that movie. And Denis Villeneuve is he's gonna scrap that, and he's such a visual storyteller that it's gonna work.
I think he'll incorporate it.
I think he will,
but just not to the same degree.
Oh, absolutely
not to the same degree.
No.
Yeah,
because
they really went overboard in the original Dune.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, you're saying this to yourself out loud. It's critical, but if you don't share it with everyone else, who's going to know what's going on at the same time? Like, you're like, you have the inside track. Okay, cool. But do they know what's going on, or you just kind of assume that they're thinking what you're thinking, and you know, you're all thinking the same thing together?
Yeah,
which,
that
you know,
narration...
again, I'm trying, Ringo.
I'm trying real hard.
Trying real hard to read your thoughts.
That narration, I think, probably is my least favorite part of this whole movie. I mean, it really makes this hard to watch.
Is it worse than the floating fat man?
Yes, because the floating fat man is funny. Because it's actually kind of funny. It's like, okay, this is... I'm so lost right now, but I just see this floating fat man, and yeah, everything's gonna be okay.
No, there's... I don't know why I'm gonna bring it up, but there is something because I watched it, and there's a scene where some of the other characters in here, and they're described by their bushy eyebrows and their red lips, and they're like these human computers, right? And the guy, and his name is Thufir, right, played by Freddie Jones, and he was this Mentat, this human computer for the Atreides house. The Atreides house gets taken over by the Harkonnen house, and later on at one point you have the floating fat man, Baron, right? Baron Harkonnen. He comes in, and you've got Thufir. He's strapped to a chair. He's bare-chested, and he had a heart plug, which I'm assuming is just a plug that they can just pop at any time, and your heart's just gonna pour out. And then he brings in this cat in this like he has this contraption where there's a hairless cat, and he's like, Thufir, there's a poison in your body, and you need to milk this cat every day, Thufir, or else you're gonna die. And I'm like, okay, whatever, cool. But strapped next to the cat, like taped next to the side of the cat, is a rat. So there's a cat and a rat, and I'm going, what? Like, do you take the rat and feed it to the cat and then milk the cat? Or are you milking the rat and the cat?
See, these are the things that, like, they're so unnecessary.
Yeah.
And
Like, if the cat was just by itself in this contraption and he had to milk it, okay, fine. Well, where was there? And it's like it's like right in front of you. Like here's the cat, and then half the body of the cat is this giant rat. You're like going, okay.
Like, okay, thanks for all the information. Where does this fit in with the whole entire other plot line? Like, oh, it doesn't? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
Because you don't see Thufir after that. Like, there's no other scene with him in it.
Yeah, exactly. And
he's done.
That's another thing, is like you get introduced to these characters and you have a scene or two with them and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And you also don't feel anything when they're gone.
Yeah, there's no emotion, there's no connection. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
And there's
You've got a hard plug and you got a pet cat.
Yeah.
Strapped to a rat.
I think the only does Patrick Stewart's character die?
No.
He doesn't die.
No.
I think I liked him the most.
Yeah.
Just because it was Patrick Stewart.
Oh, where are you, Patrick Stewart? Gurney was great.
Yeah, I like him because he's a great actor, and
which it's funny because 30 years ago, Patrick Stewart looks pretty much exactly the same 30 years ago as he does today.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's a little bit, he's younger. He's got a little bit more bulk on him, but he's still bald. He's still got the gray hair.
Yeah, he's good. But I mean, literally everyone else, like I can tell you anyone's names, like the houses and the factions. Like, no, it just didn't stick. Like, and I really tried, but yeah, this is not for me. But I do believe there's enough stuff in it where this remake is going to be. It's going to be a really great watch. I don't know if it's going to be, the storyline or whatever, but I think visually, there's going to be a lot of cool things going on.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how he redepicts the worms. Because I really liked the worms. I thought the worms were incredible.
You know what?
In that time, I'm like, dude, those worms are legit, man.
Yeah, I will say that the worms, like, even if this is, 30 years old, I think they did look good. And I think those were probably the best part. But also, I didn't really understand
what the purpose of the worms were.
What the purpose was. They were cool to look at, and whatever, and maybe that was the point. But I'm curious to see how that's gonna look, because I think it works in the '80s kind of aesthetic, and
we are now worm riders because I put hooks in your air holes. Yeah.
And they're riding the worms, and there's this one point, and there's like the final battle where they're like shooting they're shooting down from the worms, like from the back of the worm, like riding the worm. And I'm like, yeah, good luck like doing that scene, Denis Villeneuve, because that is ridiculous. That will always be ridiculous. Try making that not ridiculous.
Really?
Okay, I can't.
They're battle worms, man. They're like,
I can't take it seriously.
Come on, we had enormously giant prehistoric elephants in like Lord of the Rings.
Olifants, yeah. I love them.
Yeah, olifants.
They're the best.
Why can't we have giant worms that we can ride into battle and shoot lasers from?
That's too much, man.
They're almost laser worms. They're spicy laser worms.
Look, no one cares about the spice. Look, make it a dragon. Just make it a dragon.
I would be up for that, but I don't think it fits.
It doesn't fit. But also, why is it a worm? Make it a snake. But of course, they're not gonna make it a snake.
No, it'll be a worm.
No, I'm talking about the author. Like, hey, author, I'm gonna go back in time when time travel is a thing, and I'm just gonna say, hey, fix all these things in the book, make it a little bit cooler, so we can have a better movie in the 80s, and then we can have a better movie 35 years later.
It was fun though. No, not for you.
Not
it was
for me.
agony.
I'm glad you have this kind of special place for it, but you know, and I'm gonna let you have that. I'm gonna let you hold on to that. I'm good. I'll wait for the remake.
All right. So we're looking forward to the remake coming out. We've got a couple things coming up next week that we're going to talk about. Can't wait for those things. We've got Stranger Things coming out. Can't wait to review that.
How excited are you for Stranger Things?
I'm a mixed bag.
Okay.
I'm excited to get back into it. I'm excited to see the kids again.
Yeah.
I'm really curious how they're going to kind of maybe give me a little bit more in depth into this whole kind of alternate reality thing. I really want to see some more explanation into that. I hope they don't do it too quickly though. I mean, keep that suspense, keep that mystery kind of going.
Yeah, I think
don't give me an explanation in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, what I liked about the first season is you kind of start out and you don't really know a lot about what's going on. I think it unfolds pretty perfectly.
Yeah.
And it just gets weirder and weirder, and then by the end you're like, you were not expecting it. From the first episode, you would not anticipate where it was going. I think this is going to do the same thing.
Right.
Where we've seen a few things in the trailer about this huge monster that's that Will sees, and we see 11 back. But I think the lore is going to be explored a lot more in this new one. So I'm excited to see the kids. Yeah, I think it'll be good. We're going to be binging it pretty much. I'm going to do it within a day, maybe 2 days. What about you?
Knowing me, I'll probably just chew it up, but I'm gonna try to spread it out at least over a couple of days.
Yeah.
But I'll probably just chew right through it.
Yeah, because it's 9 episodes. It's not too long.
Nah, it's not too bad.
Yeah, so yeah, that'll be fun. So we're kind of starting this thing because I haven't seen a lot. I mean, I'm a huge movie fan, but there are a lot of movies that I need to see, and I've been wanting to see for a long time. Classic movies that are iconic, but I still haven't seen them.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
we put together a little list.
Yeah.
A little kind of like some of the iconic movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So I think next week we're gonna talk about The Shining.
Yeah, in the whole Halloween October theme, we're gonna go with The Shining. So I have a copy of that ready to go. So I'm gonna be watching that as well this week. And we'll discuss that briefly next week, and along with Stranger Things. So, should be a fun episode next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it for this week, man. I can't wait for the things coming up. Adam, you want to close this out?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys want to reach the show, you can email us at postproductionpod@gmail.com. Send in any questions, topics, anything you'd like to discuss with us. Get our opinion on. We'd love to hear. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. Leave us a review if you can. Tell a friend. But yeah, we'll be back next week. I'm Adam.
I'm Mr. Drew.
And this is Post-Production.